What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 12th day of February in the year 2025. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. Transparency International is out with its latest international report on public corruption. The report has found that in Guyana, state capture by economic and political elites fosters misappropriation of resources, illicit enrichment, and environmental crime. According to the report, although Guyana has created anti-corruption institutions and laws, transparency and law enforcement are very low, and attacks on dissenting voices, activists, and journalists are increasingly common. Guyana scored 39 out of 100 on the Corruption Index. According to Transparency International, on its scorecard, a score of 100 is seen as clean, while a score of 0 is seen as highly corrupt. The government has been coming under increased criticism and scrutiny over reports of corruption within public institutions and government offices. The government has also faced criticism over attacks targeting government critics and those who highlight cases and allegations of corruption in the government. Some activists have accused the government of filing trumped-up cybercrime charges against them in an effort to silence their criticism. Back in December, the government hosted an anti-corruption expo, and at that event, the Minister of Governance, Gail Teixeira, acknowledged the reports of corruption within the government. She said as Guyana goes forward in the anti-corruption fight and gets better and stronger in investigating corruption, there needs to be focus on building resilient institutions against corruption. Teixeira also said there are a number of institutions involved in the fight against corruption, and with more resources being provided to them, more is expected from them. But even with that assurance, the People's Progressive Party Civic Administration continues to be dogged with allegations of widespread corruption within the government, especially as it relates to the award of contracts and the procurement of goods and services. Just last week, the CEO of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Sherwin Greaves, resigned from office amid questions surrounding his purchase of high-priced properties in the U.S. and the sale of prime lands in Guyana to companies associated with his real estate agents in the U.S. Mr. Greaves has denied any wrongdoing. Last week, an embattled Assistant Commissioner of Police, Calvin Brutus, was fired from his job after a tribunal set up by the Police Service Commission cited him for alleged acts of corruption in the procurement of millions of dollars in goods for the police force. While he has denied those claims and the legitimacy of that tribunal, he continues to face more than 250 criminal charges in the courts for a number of alleged financial crimes related to his work in the Guyana Police Force. In June 2024, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labor, May Thomas, was sanctioned by the U.S. government for her alleged acts of corruption that were linked to 2 prominent businessmen and their businesses, which were also sanctioned by the U.S. Thomas was sent on administrative leave and continues to receive a full salary. The government of Guyana has been seeking information from the U.S. on those sanctions. There continues to be concerns about widespread corruption in the award of multi-million-dollar government contracts covering a number of sectors, from agriculture to infrastructure development to housing development. The opposition has continuously accused the government of doling out billions of dollars in contracts to its friends, families, and favorites. The Vice President, Bara Jagdeo, has stated that the systems to guard against corruption in Guyana are working. More news coming up in just a moment.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look. You know the one. Or one touch. Even one word. It can start with one step. Or one promise. One thrill. One first time. One deep breath. one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Hi, this is Van Fields of the Stylistics. We'll be on the lawns of the Transport General Sports Club in Georgetown. The Ultimate Soul Concert on Valentine's night, Friday, February 14th, with our live band for a dinner under the stars. Hope to see you there.
We turn our attention now to the oil and gas sector. The president of ExxonMobil Guyana, Alastair Rutledge, announced today that the oil company is still locked in discussions with the government of Guyana on the new production sharing agreement that is intended to govern the oil blocks that were placed up for auction in 2022. ExxonMobil and its partners, Hess and Sinuk, are among 6 companies that were awarded a total of 8 oil blocks. However, ExxonMobil has not agreed to the new PSA over concerns about the non-fiscal terms included in the model agreement. At a press conference today at his Kingston office, Mr. Rutledge told reporters that those talks are still ongoing. But he stressed that the proposed agreement must incentivize investments in the blocks.
I don't really want to speculate on, are we near, are we not near? I think the important thing is that we continue to have that discussion in a collaborative way to try to find an agreement that works for all parties, that incentivizes the investment, incentivizes taking the risk, because of course it's, these are blocks with no discovery, so you're having to take the exploration risk, invest money, and not know whether ultimately you'll ever make any money back or recover your costs. So, it has to be an agreement that incentivizes the investment, which is what the country wants, but also then returns a reasonable, sharing of any profits that may flow in the future should there be economic discoveries.
Under the new model PSA, the royalty on all petroleum produced and sold by the contractor has been increased from 2% to 10%. The agreement also includes the retention of the 50-50 profit sharing after cost recovery. However, a company would not be able to recover more than 65% of the cost at any time. The Ministry of Natural Resources earlier this month said a minimum of 4 production sharing agreements will be completed and signed this year. The 4 blocks will be S4 to Total Energies, Qatar Energy and Petronas, S5 to International Group Investments Inc., S7 to Sabili Energy, and S10 International Group Investments Inc. Cispro Inc. and Delcor Inc. are among the other companies that were awarded the new oil blocks in addition to ExxonMobil. The Natural Resources Ministry has said the government remains committed to ensuring that the development of the oil and gas industry is conducted in a manner that is both transparent and beneficial to the country as a whole. Attorney General Senior Counsel Anil Nandlal believes the recent decision by the High Court to dismiss an application by a group of squatters who were forced off state lands in Makkah justifies the government's position that the state had all rights over the properties. During his weekly Issues in the News broadcast last evening, Mr. Nandlal made it clear that squatters have no rights and said he believes those who challenged the government in court did so for political reasons. He said the ruling should serve as a lesson to other squatters.
So in short, they abysmally failed to establish any legal rights, title or interest in the land. And as a result, the state was completely justified in taking steps to remove them and their buildings and erections from the state's land. That is the law of Guyana, and that is the law of any other country.
In addition to the squatters losing the court case, they will also have to pay costs to the state in the sum of $2 million. Nandlal said persons who are currently squatting on state lands should take note of the court's ruling.
You do not necessarily need an order of court to remove a squatter from your land. You can do so by self-help, and the law confers upon you that legal authority and power and protects you as well from any actions that may be filed in relation to the steps that you would have taken to remove trespassers from the land.
The Attorney General also pointed out that the court matter could have been avoided if the squatters had taken the government's offer. He said the government took the soft approach, initially by offering compensation because it was well established that the residents had no rights to the lands. According to the Attorney General, the residents also did not take into consideration that they were also prevented from acquiring prescriptive titles based on amendments in the State Lands Act.
It underscores the importance of persons observing the laws. It underscores the importance of persons not being misled by politicians. It underscores significantly that squatters have no legal rights to the land upon which they are squatting.
The Ministry of Housing and Water had offered houses in the Little Diamond housing scheme to the squatters, while warning that their homes would be demolished if they did not remove from the path of a major road project. While some accepted the government's offer, others refused, and their homes were eventually demolished. Opposition parties, the APNU and the AFC, have come out in support of businessman and member of the Natural Resources Investment Committee, Dr. Terence Campbell, who they said has been under relentless attacks by the government over his public comments about the oil fund and his criticism of the administration. For its part, the APNU said it rejects the attempts to intimidate and victimize Mr. Campbell by the government in pursuit of undemocratic objectives to dominate and control.
We call on all decent Guyanese to join us in condemning these dastardly acts of the PPP regime and support Mr. Campbell, who as a member of the Investment Committee of the Natural Resource Fund is simply carrying out his constitutional obligation of ensuring that the money from our resources are properly invested and protected against the corrupt and wasteful practices of the Ali Jack Theo regime. Clearly, the regime is hell-bent on silencing Mr. Campbell and preventing him from further exposing PPP government corruption and cronyism.
Mr. Campbell has complained about suspected police cars following him, and he has also complained about other threats across social media. The opposition leader said those threats need to be taken seriously.
We also call for the depoliticizing of the Ghana Police Force and its return to being a professional institution that ensures that no one is above the law, and all those in the corrupt PPP regime that are violating the law be investigated and brought to justice.
Meanwhile, the Alliance for Change, in a separate statement on Tuesday, called for widespread condemnation of the government against the attacks on the businessmen, stating that dissenting voices seem to be under attack in Guyana. The AFC said the latest assault on Dr. Terence Campbell, a member of the Investment Committee of the Natural Resource Fund, is yet another chapter in the PP Civic's long and sordid history of intimidation. The AFC said it stands with the PNC and the APNU in condemning the vilification and attempts to silence Mr. Campbell. The Alliance for Change also said persons who raise concerns about alleged government corruption or malpractices should not be maligned. Campbell has been outspoken on a number of issues, including the spending from the oil funds and the land sales and allocations. He said he plans to continue speaking up against injustices and corruption in the country.
Welcome to Dinner Under the Stars. Indulge in a culinary feast prepared by our talented chefs, featuring locally sourced ingredients and exquisite flavors. Every bite will take you on a culinary journey, from unforgettable starters to delectable desserts. Relax to the soothing sounds of the stylistics and blue magic as the stars twinkle above, creating the perfect ambience for a romantic evening or memorable gathering. Join us for Dinner Under the Stars. Reserve your table today and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Your own home is so much more than just four walls, floors, and ceilings. It's a lifetime of great memories and stories. Come talk to us and start your journey home today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Ready to up your game? Ready to up your game? Win big with over 60 epic prizes. A brand new PS5, Nintendo Switch, iPhone 16 Pro Max, Apple smartwatch, and the hottest earbuds from Apple and Samsung. Plus, we are giving away thousands in phone credit and a whole year supply of Buster or Turbo Energy drink. Here's how. Buy any Buster or Turbo Energy drink, find the code starting with BB and enter online or on WhatsApp. Visit us on Facebook or Instagram at Turbo_Caribbean or Buster Guyana for all the details. Don't just play. Up your game with Buster and Turbo Energy.
ExxonMobil Guyana has submitted an environmental authorization application for its 8th project, the Longtail project in the Stabroek block. The project, according to the company, has the capacity to generate in excess of 1 billion cubic feet of gas, in addition to more than 200,000 barrels of oil per day. At a press conference today, the president of ExxonMobil Guyana, Alistair Rutledge, said the company made its application to the Environmental Protection Agency and is hoping of securing the required approval.
We at the same time have just submitted the environmental authorization application for a 8th project, the Longtail project, which will start us into developing what are known as the non-associated gas resources. Longtail comes with a good amount of liquids, condensates in particular.
He said the application kickstarts a gas field development project. However, he noted that the particulars of the project are still being finalized.
The Longtail project is still a little bit earlier in the process of being finalized, but we anticipate could be as high as 250,000 barrels per day of production capacity for the liquid side. The gas, being this is more of a gas development, we anticipate could be in excess of 1 billion cubic feet per day of gas handling capacity.
The field development plan is likely to be submitted in a year's time. Longtail was drilled back in 2018 when approximately 256 feet of high-quality oil-bearing sandstone reservoir was discovered. As it continues to advance development in the Stabroek Block, the oil giant this week also submitted its draft environmental impact assessment to the EPA for the Hammerhead project.
On Hammerhead, the EIA indicated that we'll be in the range of 130 to 180,000 barrels per day. We are working to finalize the plan for that, and the final target will be included in the FDP when we submit that to the government, which we anticipate doing in March of this year, with the goal that that is a project that is sanctioned around the middle of this year, continuing to support the ongoing investment in the country, the investment in local content opportunities.
Ahead of the submission of the field development plan, ExxonMobil is expected to hold public consultations. Rutledge said less than 5 years after first oil, ExxonMobil has surpassed 500 million barrels of accumulated production across the Stabroek Block and now has the capacity to produce approximately 650,000 barrels of oil per day. It is anticipated that production will increase later this year when the Yellowtail project begins producing oil using the One Guyana FPSO. The Yellowtail project is estimated to produce 250,000 barrels of oil per day. In the interim, the company is looking to optimize production at its other operations within the Stabroek Block. A 91-year-old man was rescued from a burning building this morning on Durban Street when a fire engulfed his home. He was later rushed to the hospital after suffering from smoke inhalation. The elderly man, Herbert Gaskin, was home alone at around 9 o'clock this morning when his wooden house was spotted on fire. The cause of the fire is still being investigated by the Guyana Fire Service. News source understands that the elderly man was rescued from the blaze. He was taken to the hospital by a team of emergency medical technicians after suffering from smoke inhalation. 2 other elderly women who reside in the same compound were also attended to by the EMTs at the scene of the fire. A neighbor, Nadia Gaskin, told reporters that she was at home resting when she realized something was amiss.
While lying down in the chair relaxing, I heard these glasses start shattering. So it's like unusual. So I get up and I peep out. And when I peep out, I wanted to find out the neighbor next door houses was on fire. It was like totally on fire. And I observed that the electric wires start bursting and sparking.
Grisandy said she immediately called her brother, a fireman, and within minutes firefighters were on the scene, but the wooden building was already engulfed in flames. One of the elderly women who was treated by the EMTs said she was at home when the electricity in the building began to fluctuate. The woman said when she looked outside, her neighbor's home, which was in the same compound, was spotted on fire.
But I hear like things like something burning. So I open my door. And when I look through, all I see is flame. I could do it, but I said, it's a fire. And I pick up this dust and I put on. But I know where to go. But I had a guy who was on the fence at the back. He called me. And he told me come out. And he pushed me over the mesh.
In a brief statement, the Guyana Fire Service said at around 9:16 this morning, it responded to the report of the building being on fire at Durban and Palm Streets. The fire service said firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze and prevented it from spreading to nearby buildings. In the courts, 31-year-old contractor Kemra Jalal was sentenced to 2 months in jail and fined $30,000 after he pleaded guilty to possession of marijuana for the purpose of trafficking. Lal appeared at the Bartica Magistrates Court this morning, where he opted not to waste the court's time after the charge was read to him. He was arrested on Monday after 62 grams of marijuana was found stashed in cans of Pringles chips that he had in his possession. The bust was made at the Aurora Gold Mines Company in the Cuyuna area. According to a police report, Lalo was spotted by a security at the mining operation and was observed carrying 4 bags. He was called out and the bags were searched. In the bags, a security officer found the 3 Pringles cans, and a further search of the cans revealed the marijuana stashed inside each of them. Marijuana leaves, stems, and seeds were found in those cans. Further checks of the bags revealed an additional parcel of marijuana. The police were contacted after the man admitted to ownership of the bags and all of their contents.
Guyana, get ready for a special night of 70s soul featuring the Stylistics.
God bless you. You make me feel brand new.
And Blue Magic.
So let the sideshow begin. Hurry, hurry, step right on in.
Valentine's Day, February 14th. Save the date. The Stylistics. And Blue Magic, its classic 70s soul, coming to Guyana Friday, February 14th, 2025. Don't miss it.
Make the world go round.
Okay, let's do this thing.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyana is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyana has now repositioned itself as market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
What was supposed to be a night of celebration turned into disaster after 4 friends who were all drunk left the bar in the city without a designated driver. Designate a driver. Don't drink and drive.
It all starts with one. Maybe it's one look, you know the one, or one touch, even one word. I can start with one step, or one promise, one thrill, one first time, one deep breath, one leap of faith, one day to remember, or one night to forget. One moment, so many stories that make up one crazy, average, everyday, fabulous life. We get one life, just one. Make your move. It all starts with one.
With your regional and international news tonight, I am Svetlana Marshall. In the region, the fatal shooting of a young mother of 3 has shaken St. Lucia, sparking outrage and despair over the loss. Reports are that Alana Bernard, 28, was near her home in Corinth when a vehicle pulled up next to her. A gunman exited the vehicle and fatally shot her in what appeared to be a targeted attack. The disturbing killing has prompted responses from both the government and the opposition. According to the police, the shooting occurred at about 4:57 p.m. on Tuesday at Corinth. At the scene, investigators discovered one female lying motionless with apparent injuries. Investigation into the fatal shooting is ongoing. Prime Minister John Bricino has called for general elections in Belize, setting the date for March 12, 2025. The announcement came today from the office of the Prime Minister. Following his advice to the Governor General, the National Assembly of Belize was dissolved today. The electoral process will begin with nomination day scheduled for February 24, when political parties will formally register their candidates. The announcement gives political parties exactly 1 month from today to campaign before voters head to the polls. And finally tonight, international news. In the first weeks of his second term, President Donald Trump has wasted no time in flexing his political muscle, BBC said in a report, noting that much is clear. It said since taking office in January, President Trump has ordered the suspension of all new asylum claims, canceled refugees resettlement, frozen government hiring and spending, gutted agencies established by Congress, moved to ban gender transition care for teenagers, and offered a buyout deal for hundreds of thousands of federal workers. The whirlwind of unilateral action on his campaign promises has pushed the limits of presidential power and prompted legal challenges from Democrats, unions, and legal groups. So far, the federal courts have been the only substantive roadblocks to Trump's agenda, as judges have temporarily suspended some of his most contentious actions, including a bid to end autocratic citizenship for anyone born on U.S. soil, a right established from the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. But Trump is pressing on and seems headed for a showdown with the judiciary that could eventually end in the highest court in the land. This week, a Rhode Island judge said the Trump administration was clearly and openly defying his court order to unfreeze billions in federal funds. The White House responded by saying that every action the president took was completely lawful. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall, wishing you a pleasant evening.